no super chat again, so he has to review your comments.
Bobby Shmurda praises rap lyrics bill in New York State. Now, what about Georgia? Now, the point of this is that New York State has just passed a new law that basically limits their ability to like prosecute song lyrics as evidence. And when I initially looked at this, it seemed like kind of a duh, whatever, like that make like. Doesn't that seem like common sense type of thing? But the more I read into this, the more I feel like it probably was.
Can you explain? Sorry, I didn't get a chance to read this beforehand. So they're saying during trial, if someone is like, isn't this your song that's inciting violence or whatever, they can only use a limited number of that? Like, in what context are they using?
We'll get into it. Okay. Basically, it comes down to whether it can be perceived as like
an indication of state of mind.
Yes. Okay. So it says. New York State Senate passed a bill that would limit how song lyrics can be used as evidence in court, Pitchfork reports. Senate Bill S7527, also known as Rap Music on Trial, will not ban song lyrics from being used as evidence altogether, but according to the outlet, the lyrics will now have to be proved to be literal rather than figurative or fictional, supported by artists like Jay-Z, Meek Mill, Killer Mike, Fat Joe, and more. Like, there's a lot of people. There's actually a lot more names than that, though. I think those are just the most prominent ones. That this just seems like one of those things where if you're in New York, and like Jay-Z is a staple of New York culture, like you're going to want to keep.
He is.
Yeah, he's from Brooklyn.
Yeah. So like he's. I mean, not as synonymous as some other people who.
No,
might
he's like a New York native, and he I mean, it's a huge part of his rap music, and he I think owns some sports team. Maybe?
I don't know if
Don't come for me. I don't know what Jay-Z is up to.
So it says they spoke to his lawyer, Alex Spiro, sent a letter to the state lawmakers urging the bill to be passed. It says, this is an issue that's important to Jay-Z and all other artists that have come together to try and bring about this change, Spiro said. This is a long time coming. Mr. Carter is from New York, and if he can lend his name and his weight, that's what he wants. The sentiment is shared by many other artists who have suffered from having their rap lyrics weaponized again as well. Mac Phillips, a no-limit rapper who was convicted of manslaughter in 2001, I still remember that, after prosecutors heavily cited his lyrics and shared a statement Tuesday giving his thoughts about the bill being passed. Quote, criminal cases should be tried on factual evidence, not the creative expression of an artist, but unfortunately hip-hop has been held to a very different standard in the criminal justice system, at least within the last 3 decades, Phillips said. The passage of the New York bill gives me hope that the situations like the one I faced will be prevented from happening to other artists in the future. So just recently, Young Thug and Gunna, who are I love Gunna's music, just got arrested on RICO charges. Now, the thing is like, are we talking about, if the idea is that they run a criminal enterprise, if we're actually talking about rap lyrics as if they run a criminal enterprise, it's not like they're admitting to a crime. They're talking about vaguely committing criminal acts. It's not the same thing as saying, I did this to this person. But if we're talking about them in the context of like working with gangs, is this something where they can use the lyrics that are more general? And I don't think they can. I think that the what's it considered? What's that called when they have like the balance of like, so the evidence has to be weighed. I can't think of so it's like, what do you do in this case? Like, I don't really think the lyrics are factual, like can be stated as factual. It should be seen as art.
So if someone who's not me is a rapper says like, I was in the streets, I don't know how to say this, like buying guns and drugs, and that's like the lyric in their song, and then they're later, charged with like drug trafficking.
Yeah.
This wants to limit it so that the the prosecution can only use a portion of lyrics or a limited amount. They can't say like, you definitely see, you talk about it in this lyric, so therefore it's true. Yeah,
like I said, there's not a whole lot here on the bill other than it's just saying like, if you can't prove that it was that you're telling the like an actual statement of facts and not just a fictionalized version of what you've done. I don't know.
What I'm saying is like, if a rapper says like, I am buying lots of drugs in my music. Sorry, I sound so bad. Like, I know I'm out of my element here, team, but like, I'm buying a lot of drugs, and
Best
then they are
rap
charged.
I'm buying lots of drugs and guns.
I honestly am so mad at them. But like, if they reference purchasing drugs, and then they are charged with drug smuggling, or they're arrested in a drug bust, and then the prosecution is like, see, you talk about it, and they're like, no, that's fictional. Can we then assume, even if that scenario that they paint in their specific lyric is fictional, they are aware that they, like,
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I am wondering how you distinguish between what's fictional and what is like.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It
especially
seems
if
very hard to do.
Some of the lyrics connect to what they're doing.
Oh, Mary, I think you got to put money in the thing again. There you go. Before we go.
Don't give away the behind the scenes secrets. I'm gonna Google this law because I'm like.
So it's like, but we don't just have this. We also have there's new stuff with Rust. So I don't know if I buy that they should be able to just like prosecute you on stuff you said in a song when you go and you participate in movies, or you have it says.
Okay, so the purpose of this law, according to the bill. Hello. Is
Thank
that
you.
because of my rapping?
Yes, it was because you're
Oh
rapping.
my god, that's horrifying. Okay, so on the New York State Senate government website, it says the purpose of this legislation is to protect freedom of speech and artistic expression in New York State. This bill effectuates the enhanced free speech protections provided by the New York State Constitution, ensuring that criminal defendants are tried based upon evidence of criminal conduct and not the provocative nature of their artistic taste. So they say that, like, if it goes into a song lyrics, you basically can't say that you're not supposed to say whether or not it's fictionalized.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Taylor
Swift must love this because now every time she goes through a breakup, she can be like, well, you don't know that. It could be pretend.
I feel like this is a case by case basis. I want to see examples where lyrics have been used as evidence. Was Bobby Shmurda one of them?
He so that's his is like a relatively famous case, and I think I still have that article up here. It says he did 6 years for weapons charges, and I believe that his lyrics were used in that case. So it says, well, first we'll go through this one. It says the newly proposed law prevents cops and prosecutors from using lyrics against them in court cases. The bill has been championed by the likes of Jay-Z. And it says while Bobby is excited for things to come, he really hopes to see the rest of the country adopt similar measures, especially in Georgia, where Young Thug and Gunna and 26 other members are fighting RICO gang charges. Legal matters aside, Bobby's extremely hyped. You got to see his energy about having a lock on hip hop this summer. He doubled down on what he previously promised during a chat with TMZ Hip Hop. So he had his song Hot N-word, which I cannot say, of course, but that song made him like a target for prosecution, and then he did
What's
like
the
6
lyric,
years.
though?
Let me
I
look
wanna
at
know.
the lyrics.
That's the thing. Like, it's so hard to talk about these things in abstract terms. Like, I get that's how you have to write legislation, so it's open-ended, can be applied maybe fairly, but like, I am not understanding like if this means that. Like, at first, when you just sent me this headline, I was like, does that mean you can only reference, like, one verse of a song or 30 seconds of a song? Mm-hmm. Like, at what point do we decide that's too much or, like, leans too heavily?
It's like, how can you regulate in...
Okay.
They feel like
they were
regulate
weapons charges, so this is unrelated, but he said, I've been selling crack since the 5th grade.
Whoa, too?
Thanks.
It's all over the place today.
It's like Christmas every time.
I be getting money till I fall out. That's relevant. But I don't see anything about like
I still, it's like, how do you prove it is actionable? Like, it's like, what is that supposed to be like?
shots popping out the AR.
That's a
I'm
gun
with
reference.
Trigger.
That seems also like a gun reference.
Yes.
I'm so good at music
But I'm saying,
analysis.
like, how do they
There's
use...
nothing. Everybody catching bullet holes. I'm gonna run up, put that gun on him.
All of today's episode segment, like all of the things that Dane makes for like advertising, is just to be you two doing rap lyrics. It's gonna be great.
We're
No.
just like
It's gonna be fantastic.
Look, I have some talents, but that's
intensely like
obviously not one
stoic
of
about
them.
it.
I'll just read rap lyrics out loud.
I also want to point out that that the two bills failed to pass involving California gun legislation with Rust involving in the entertainment industry. Basically, this one says that. There was competing proposals from Democrat Senator Anthony Portantino, chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee and the author of one of the bills. He strongly urged the entertainment industry groups to work collaboratively to bring forward a consensus approach, but no one did. And then it says down here, it's a powerful and ruthless industry. First, the industry killed Helena. Then they killed the bill that would have made people like her safe. No. Incompetent workers did that. And it has nothing to do with the industry. It has to do with the fact that Hannah Gutierrez Reed was not good at her job. That is like, and then
What
down.
are they saying? They're saying that
It was the industry that killed her, and
like
that they need
the
so for
film
that
industry or the gun industry.
the film industry, because the film industry is lobbying, I'm sure, to keep these regulations from going into effect because it will cost them more money.
But wouldn't that seem like it is sort of on the industry that like
No, I
you're
don't.
allowed to hire someone who isn't trained for their job?
But they're not talking about. I looked at they're not talking about more regulations for armorers. They're talking about adding new positions, like oversight positions, that you should be training these people better, and there should be more rigid standards for actually doing the job of an armorer outside of apprenticeship, right? But does that mean you need to add new positions?
No, it's you're not. They're trying to solve it with like administrative. blow.
Yes,
Okay,
which
okay.
is not, at least in my opinion, that's not going to work. And they say down here that it says, I wanted to get to this specific point here. It said, where the Alliance of Special Effects and Pyrotechnic Operators opposed the bill, writing in a letter to lawmakers that it would not have prevented the tragedy that occurred in another state, but said that it would negatively impact motion picture productions here in California. I believe, now somebody would have to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, I know for a fact they were working on non-union crew. I do not know if Hannah Gutierrez Reed is part of I'm assuming she was still part of the union,
I don't know.
but the set in general was in a lot of chaos, and a breakdown in communication at all levels, from producer down to armorer down to actor, and a bullet ends up in a gun that where live round should have never been. I don't believe that more legislation and more
Thank you.
I don't believe that more legislation and more any of that is going to prevent this from happening. I think that maybe the best idea would be that there be more rigid standards for getting out of an apprenticeship and actually becoming that position full time. I don't know what the term for that would be, so that they're not an apprentice armorer or an intern when they actually start doing it on their own. Maybe there has to be more stringent safety measures for like tests they have to pass or time spent. I mean, in unions, don't they have to spend a certain amount of hours doing a job under an apprentice?
It depends. I feel like this is such a complicated law. It's hard to comment on without studying it.
Yeah.
I think that the Rust set was very chaotic, and in some ways it's like any workplace regulation or issue, right? Like, you want to have workplaces where people who are operating dangerous equipment are trained, but in this case, like, again, I don't know if Alec Baldwin has been charged or where that falls, but like, I haven't heard enough about the investigation to know whether the fault lies with the armorer or with Alec Baldwin or with some other failure along the way. It seems like it was a perfect storm of everything.
$137,000 in fines is what they faced, and now they're still going to finish the movie. You guys disagreed with me. I don't remember if that was your episode, that you think that that's like, I'm just one of those people, like, I would never want to see the movie like this. Like,
I feel like when I was on, we were saying, like, are they making the movie, or are they making the movie about the making?
No,
of
they're
the
making
movie
the movie. They're going to make the movie. Like,
It'd be a lot smarter to just make a documentary at this point.
Well, and I feel like Alec Baldwin had that weird trying to like scrabble back into good graces, and then he like faded away, and then I saw that like People magazine was like, oh my gosh, Alec Baldwin and his wife are having their 7th baby.
Are
and
you
I was
guys
like,
leaning towards
with him?
like negligence and not the suspicion that this was on purpose by anybody?
I see negligent. Like, what's that Hanlon's law? Like, never assume malice where ignorance is far more likely, right? So like I'm gonna separate the two bills here. I'm gonna go through these two. Like, they summarize them here. It says Cortez's bill would have banned the use of guns and blank ammunition containing gunpowder on or other explosive charges from film sets, with some exceptions. It also would have required producers to hire a set safety coordinator to perform a risk assessment prior to the first day of filming, and to enforce safety rules throughout the production. So more people involved, more hands. Like, it's just more cogs in the machine with possibility for failure in there. And then banning the use of blanks on set just doesn't seem like it's ever actually going to pass in California.
Do you feel like in some ways this is like sort of semi-gun legislation passed by people who really don't know anything about guns?
Yeah.
Like, do you think if this were, because this is being passed in California, right?
Yeah.
But the shooting took place in Arizona.
I don't think it was Arizona. Was it Arizona?
Yeah, I think it was.
Really?
I
Wasn't
don't
the set in there? I could be wrong.
I don't remember where the.
The Santa Fe
Okay.
count. It was because he was arrested like a Santa Fe hospital. Like, in some ways, I would be more curious to hear how Arizona, which like certain states are very friendly to, like Georgia is a film state. Like they bring it in.
Canada,
so they
Georgia.
have some. They are starting to legislate, knowing that the film industry has a foothold there. North Carolina, I think, is another one. I would be curious to hear like how legislators in Arizona would handle this issue in comparison to California.
Well, because I don't know if the laws would follow them if they film out of state. Like, with
that's what I mean. Like, California could do whatever it wants, but if it in Santa Fe, does that mean that like they don't apply? Yeah. So they're regulating an industry that's like irrelevant.
So that was the first bill. And the second bill says Portantino's bill would have allowed guns with blank ammunition on set, but only under the supervision of an armorer who has completed a gun safety course created by the Office of the State Fire Marshal. It would have allowed live ammunition only in certain circumstances. I am really having trouble reading into so in this case it's like they already have to.
I assume for like special effects, like where you have to have a bullet or something. Or for attempted murder, whatever.
Yes. Just don't give him to that dude from Dave Chappelle. Yeah, just don't give him a real gun.
Knives. He's knives only.
So it's like I have a feeling that the California like the film industry lobbyists were never going to get this thing. We're never gonna allow these to pass. Because it's gonna make.
But also, did they need to? This shooting didn't take place there.
No, it didn't. And in a traditionally chaotic set. My point is that what this movie is not a representative of that industry as a whole as far as firearm safety in this case, right? Mm-hmm. So it seems mind-boggling to me that every time something like this happens, the only answer anyone ever has is more legislation, more rigid standards, more this, more that. When in this case, it's just she didn't do her job. She was not good at her job, and this is an issue of the person, not an issue of the process.
It's really hard to say. I the last I could see, Alec Baldwin is still facing charges. He's not out of hot water yet, as of like late April. That's what like a lot of media reports were saying. I think pending the investigation kind of gives an indication of where legislation would or would not be needed. Yeah. I stand by, like, I see that like it's a California-based industry, like film. Yeah. But it did happen in Arizona, and it's not totally clear to me that this law is anything but virtue signaling either way.
That's what it feels like to me.
It's showing that they're
reacting
in a serious manner to it when
but in
I don't think there was
any
intention of it necessarily coming to any outcome.
I hate that. I hate
real.
Like, it's just for show, and now we wasted tax dollars and time.
That's like I'm a lot more interested in the PR response than actual legislation, and this is a PR response
I feel like this is California's PR response to being like, no, film is a responsible industry. And it's like, first off, clearly that's not true. And second off, like, this didn't even happen in your state. Yep. Unless I just don't. I really wish someone could tell me.
I'm saying I don't know if I necessarily buy that it's not a safe, at least as far as firearms go. We had the Brandon Lee incident back in the 90s. There have been some other incidents. There have been set deaths from people dying from stunt work.
The guy who was hired to originally play the Tin Man in Allison,
allergic to the.
He was allergic to the metal that was used in the paint, and he died.
That's a very good film trivia question.
Metal.
Thank you.
It was.
I think it was
rusty metal. Yes, that's exactly what it was.
People used to be about their craft that much.
But then no one passed a law saying, like, we must allergy test all of our actors before we decide what cosmetics we're using on them.
Nope.
Like,
oh, I had assumed that it just had like some harmful chemical in it, like mercury.
He had an anaphylactic reaction. Like, he was allergic to the material, from what I understand.
Super chat.
Like, it's an obscure allergy. Sorry, I'll talk.
It's okay. Fluffy Yellow says, keep up the great job. Also, Tim okay? Why no 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. videos today? I don't really want to get into the habit of answering for Tim's whereabouts.
Yeah, I don't know if that's on us. He's we can't say one way or the other.
Keep up with him on social media. I think it's not a secret, but he'll let you know what he's doing.
Did he say on social media where he's doing?
Someone who follows him on Twitter would know.
If you follow him on Twitter, you will be able to find out.
Although I don't know that he said that. Don't come for me if he hasn't said that.
Okay.
Tim's fine, just for everyone's reference.
Yes.
Super Guy said, Mary's army of bears is growing. Really enjoying PCC live so far. Keep up the great work. Yeah, I don't know if they show up totally in my shot, but Super Guy sent some additions to the crew back there, so thank you for that. 1,000 Foot Deep End says, I can't take credit for catching Hannah Claire's mislabeled camera. Someone else in the chat noticed it first. LOL.
Yeah, but you took action.
But you were the one that paid, so thanks.
Yeah.
Caper2X said, some cash for Mary's baking fund. Thank you so much. Howdy, Hannah Claire. Brett, please get off your high pony and give the new ST a fair shake. What is that?
Star Trek.
I'm assuming
Star Trek, a fair shake. The show has heart.
If you mean Star Trek, I'm just, I have to admit, I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan to begin with. As far as space operas as such, I would much rather watch Firefly. I wish they had made 1,000 seasons of that rather than anything else, but perhaps I shall give it another go. I'm not watching Discovery. You couldn't pay me $1 million to watch Discovery. I will not do it. I'm not
What about $2 million?
$1 billion.
For a
Let's
billion.
bring Elon Musk into this. How can we make this happen? Let's make a deal.
I will only watch Stacey Abrams play president of the world for $1 billion and not a penny less. Not a penny less.
Brett has standards.
Yes, exactly.
Dave Font says,
Dave, how is Dave?
I was in the streets buying guns. Hannah Claire. Thanks for the clip, friend.
No, Dave, no.
I
Guys,
can't
my
wait.
rap career has like started and died in one moment.
Hava Owens says, MF Doom, rap snitch niches?
Looks like that.
Telling on themselves in court, being their own star witness.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
That's an MF Doom. Okay, that's an MF Doom lyric.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
John Lee says, I'm not 100% sure, but Tay-K's song, The Race, was used against him in his murder trial because it was a song about his actual crime.
Wow.
It was?
Okay.
That was
That's
a
the
hit,
thing.
though.
Didn't
Love that
Lil Wayne,
song.
like all of his first album, he was like talking about stuff he actually did and experienced?
Yeah.
Like, I guess it was in the past and he wasn't facing charges.
Are you supposed to not make art about your experiences now?
Somebody
You
called
did
Taylor
something
Swift.
wrong?
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's actually makes an interesting point. Like, if the question is like, well, then who? Like, if you're making this music and it's not telling your personal experience, then what are you telling of? Like, you're not contributing to the culture in any way that was actually part of your own experience. That's weird.
You make an album called Statute of Limitations and you just only release them as like the like time runs out on when you can talk about them.
That's genius. That is.
Call me for all your rap marketing needs. Please don't. Please absolutely don't do that. Cannot tell you how bad of a suggestion that was.
That's a fantastic suggestion.
That's my first rap album.
Okay.
We got one more. Waffles Sensei says, Brett, you should read that quote behind you, the all technology one. I really love it. Who's that quote from?
Oh, that is okay. So that is a quote from my favorite television show of all time. It's called Person of Interest. It was a Jonathan Nolan show on CBS from 2011 to like 2016, and that's a quote from season 2, episode 3. And it's a character named Logan Pierce says to John, he says, "All technology ages, John. The only thing that doesn't change is wanting to connect with people."
That's beautiful.
In the show, the character of Logan Pierce is like he's supposed to be like a Zuckerberg-esque tech billionaire. And the idea is that
Zuckerberg.
yeah,
That was the best tech billionaire they could pick?
in that well
Of
that,
all the tech billionaires?
Just
Sorry.
a kind of lizardy guy.
Oh, okay.
back then, I mean, it was that episode was in like 2012 or 2013, so it was there was less tech billionaires to choose from at the time, at least as far as social media tech. And in that show, one of the other main characters, played by Michael Emerson, is supposed to have like created social media to help build the algorithms that helped his artificial intelligence data mine for information. And so he's kind of like the Tom from MySpace. Albeit one that's like not known to the public, and then Logan Pierce is the one who's supposed to be like more like Facebook that took over for them. So that's I do find that quote to be quite moving, actually. So thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.